Home Sweet Home Alone is definitely a watchable movie, but boy, does it massively miss a trick. Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel Lifestyle Critic. I hope you're having a brilliant day. So in this video we are going to be reviewing the brand new Christmas movie Home Sweet Home Alone, which is the 6th attempt to recapture the magic of the original classic first two Home Alone movies. And this one does feel the most like the first movie. However, it just really does get a lot of things wrong, and it just really could have been so much better than it was. I mean, it does really well fit within the Disney portfolio, having all of the Home Alone movies sat within Disney Plus, so that's really, really cool. And this movie does have some really nice throwbacks and some really cool cameos from the original movie, and there definitely is enjoyment to be had in this movie, but it really could have been absolutely amazing, and I'm going to be breaking it all down for you in this movie review. So the storyline and the script of Home Sweet Home Alone really is where this movie falls apart. I mean, it's really great that they have changed things up from the first movie, so it is a bit of a new experience. However, the things that they have changed up are just the core fabric and the core formula for why Home Alone just worked so well and was just such a hit instant classic. But you know, that being said, it is really great that they have tried to do things a little bit differently in this movie. So it does start up and mainly focuses on the quote-unquote villains of this movie, these two characters are unfortunately having a lot of financial trouble and in turn want to sell their house, and one day during their open house their really expensive family heirloom goes missing, which they believe the Max character, who is this world's Kevin McCallister, has stolen this, so they want to break into his house to try to take this item back. Meanwhile, due to a very similar series of events that happened in the first movie to Kevin McCallister, we see that the Max character is now home alone while all of his family have jetted off to Tokyo, and he misunderstands why the villains are breaking into his house, so he sets up very similar traps to try and attack them. Now, from a positive's point of view, like I said, this movie is actually really, really funny. It does have a lot of slapstick humour, and I feel like the actors that they've chosen just play those parts so brilliantly. You can't help laugh at the extreme situations that these brilliant comedic actors are finding themselves in. Also, it really pays homage to the first movie really, really well. I mean, some of them do feel a little bit forced in here, but you know, that being said, it is really nice to throw back to the first movie, and even though the villains are a little bit different to what you might expect them to be, actually having them sympathetic and really understanding their situation, I think is a bit of a nice difference. And also, the fact that they were even able to make this movie during COVID times, I just think is really, really impressive, as there are quite a few number of scenes where actually there are quite a lot of number of people, even though some of the other content, for example, other TV shows and movies that were filmed during COVID, are very stripped back and only have a couple of characters in a particular scene, whereas this time they've actually got quite a lot of number of characters in various scenes, and in turn it just works really, really well as a movie. However, from a negative's point of view, because you've built up so much sympathy for the quote-unquote villains, it is a little bit difficult to watch them being so tortured by the Max character, as they aren't really inherently bad. So even though what they're doing is definitely wrong and illegal, you just feel a little bit bad for them for all of the torture that they are going through. In turn, as well, as there is so much focus on the villainous characters, you have little connection to the Max character, and they don't really set up Max's world with his family in terms of why he's so frustrated by his extended family. I mean, there are a couple of scenes here and there, but I feel like they really should have and could have focused more on this character so that you can connect with him a lot more, in a similar vein how you can connect with the Kevin McCallister character. And also, even though there are some cool trap sequences in this movie, they really could have hammed them up and played them up a lot more. I feel like they were trying to play it a little bit safe, as obviously at the end of the day this is a bit of a kids movie and they don't want to discourage parents showing this to their kids. But that being said, one of the main appeals of the first two movies was just seeing all of the crazy stuff that's happening to the main two evil characters, and they are pretty light in that arena. So from a cast and characters point of view, Home Sweet Home Alone is actually pretty successful for the most part. I feel like they've got some really great comedic actors, and all of their performances are actually pretty hilarious. I mean, very slapstick humour, but it works really, really well. So let's go through them one by one. So first up we have Archie Yates, who is playing the main lead of the Max character. I feel like he's fine. Like I said, you definitely can't compare him to Kevin McCallister, played by Macaulay Culkin, who was just so iconic and so brilliant in that role. I feel like this role is a little bit miscast, even though this actor is very capable and plays the part of Max really, really well. I just feel like he can't carry the movie in the same way that Macaulay Culkin did. Next up we have the two main leads, the two brilliant leads in this movie, played by Rob Delaney and Ellie Kemper, and I feel like they are so awesome. They are obviously the quote-unquote villains of this movie, and you just are able to connect with them so brilliantly, so much heart, so much charisma, and most importantly, such brilliant comedic scenes. I feel like you're able to really laugh at the slapstick humour that these two actors are portraying. They are absolutely brilliant in these roles that they have, and definitely are the best thing about this movie. Next up we have Ailing Bia, who was fine as Max's mother, very similarly to the Max character. I feel like she is able to portray that role really, really well, but they just could have given her so much more to do. I feel like Kevin's mother in the first two Home Alone movies was just so fantastic in that role. Even her reaction to finding out that Kevin is home alone was just absolutely brilliant. They tried to do that in this movie, but it really didn't work as well as it could have done. We've also got Tim Simmons and Ali Maki, who are the family and relations to the thieves, except they are very, very rich, and they really do poke a lot of humour at that. And these two actors are also really great comedic leads, and I feel like they are definitely bringing a lot of humour as well. We've also got Buzz himself in this movie from the first two films, returning in that role, except this time he's a bit of a police officer, and he does reference the Kevin McCallister character. So I feel like that is really, really cool while building and while connecting to the first few movies. Some of the other sequels have tried to do that as well, but I feel like this is definitely the most authentic, and definitely obviously returns an actor from the original. It would be brilliant to see all of the other cast members from the first two movies returning one day, but you know, from a cast and characters point of view, I feel like it's a little bit mixed, but for the most part it does actually work really, really well in this movie. So from a visuals point of view, I feel like the Christmas setting in Home Sweet Home Alone does actually look really, really good. I mean, the main house that Max is living in really could have been more Christmassy, but outside of that house, I feel like all of the other houses and the town and all of the other locations are really, really great. Speaking of locations, all of the different characters go to quite a few locations, so you do get to see loads of different areas. I feel like they could have done a little bit more in Tokyo. But that being said, what I would have loved to have seen better working is all of the traps. Like I said, there are a few of them, and they do look pretty decent, but they really could have gone to town with it and really made it much bigger, bolder, and better than the first two movies. But unfortunately, from a traps point of view, I definitely feel like the first two movies are way more superior. So from a comparison point of view, I feel like Home Sweet Home Alone is a lot stronger than the two most recent installments, namely Home Alone 4 and Home Alone 5, but I don't think it's as good as the first three installments from the Home Alone franchise. Obviously the first two movies in particular are just absolute instant classics, absolute brilliant movies, and I feel like the third movie obviously isn't as good as the first two, but is a lot stronger than all of the other subsequent sequels that were made within this brand. I hope one day they really connect back with the McCallister family, as they really are the things that made the Home Alone brand so successful. That being said, it was really great to see the Buzz character at least coming back in this movie, and it was really great to see him as a police officer and even referencing the Kevin McCallister character. I feel like that was a really great touch. But you know, from a comparison point of view, unfortunately it just isn't as good as the first two movies are. So overall, I feel like, you know, they had a really big opportunity to make this movie absolutely brilliant. I feel like when they announced the fact that they were doing a sixth movie and that maybe Macaulay Culkin would be returning to this role, everyone was really, really excited by this film. And I think it's great that they did try to change things up. But like I said in the intro, unfortunately, the things that they did change up just were too close to the formula of what made the Home Alone brand so iconic and so successful. You know, that being said, there is still enjoyment to be had in this movie, but it really could have been so much bigger, better, and bolder than it was. And so for all of those reasons, I'm going to give it a 4 out of 10. I'd love to hear what you thought, so please let me know in the comment section below. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing you in my next video.